back to Sportsnet Lakers. I'm Chris McGee alongside Kyle Goon, Lakers beat writer for the SoCal News Group, and Dan Woike, Lakers beat writer from the LA Times.
Hi, guys.
Hi. I was off last night, actually.
What'd you miss?
But I said I want to do Friday night's non-game night show because I need to be here to talk about this with Dan and Kyle Goon because you guys were there.
Is that a good decision? We'll find out.
Great decision.
We'll find out in the next
Great
hour.
decision. This is going to be a fun hour. I don't know about fun, but it's going to be detailed. We're going to let some things out. It's going to be like an hour of therapy. I'll invoice you both. Let's get right to it. Another embarrassing loss for the Lakers, and this time to their hallway rival. Reggie Jackson scored 36 points in the Clippers' win. At halftime, the Clippers only led by 3, but a 40-18 third quarter changed that. Lakers go 0-4 on the Clippers this season for their 4th loss in a row. It's been more the same for the Lakers. The 21-point loss is right up there with the rest of their biggest losses of the season. But even at 21 points, it is only their 5th largest margin of defeat. After the game, LeBron on the team's lackluster performance.
Coming to the game, we know how great of a three-point shooting team they are, and you give them open looks, they're gonna knock them down. And we gave too many open looks, and then once the open looks started going in, they even started making the contested ones too. But they're a great shooting team, and it resulted in another win for them. Obviously, it's been challenging for us this year, defensively. We had a lot of breakdowns. We had lost a lot of games because our defense got broken down. It was also been because of our offense at times too. Your offense can help your defense, and you taking bad shots, or you turn the ball over, or you take a good shot and it's a long rebound, and you're not getting floor balance, you're not getting back. That can affect your defense as well.
Dave?
Well, what kind of pride factor is there playing a team that you share an arena with, share a city with, and having them go 4-0 over the season series?
I mean, they're a better team.
And no stops. Simple as that. No shot, no stops. It's getting a lot of easy buckets attacking us.
The challenge, do the problems feel similar, or does it kind of feel like a new set of issues to deal with?
Depends on how you look at it. Depends on the game. Depending on the flow. Depending on kind of what's happening, and how we play. It's important. There's stretches where we play the right way, and then there's obviously stretches where we don't.
I mean, they made every shot coming out of the third, and we tried to start a different lineup. Started the lineup that went on that 14-0 run to try to capture some of that momentum, and it just turned in that third. We missed some open looks. They knocked down a bunch. Zubac did a good job punishing our switches, but really there was a lot of offensive plays that didn't quite go our way that led to transition runouts. We're just persistent and staying with the work. We're relentlessly seeking solutions, to get us playing better. And we come in the next day with some tweaks or fundamentals that need to be better, or ways that we can improve our team, and no stone unturned in terms of trying to find solutions to get this right. But it hasn't taken shape, but there's no quit in us. We will continue to persist. We're trying to adjust and shift and find the ways to win, with Anthony out. We haven't found that yet, but it's not something that we can't do. We just haven't found it yet. So it's a disappointing loss, and we just got to persist.
It's starting to shape up. The standings, that is. T-Wolves and Clippers will be playing for the right to be the 7th seed in the NBA playoffs, most likely. Everything else, as you can see, is up for grabs after a Laker 4-game losing streak. The Lakers in that 9 spot, 1 game ahead of the Pelicans. Remember, the 9 seed will host the first-round play-in game. Blazers and Spurs aren't winning much either, but they are on the Lakers' heels. Blazers a game out of 10th, and the Spurs 2.5 out of 10th. So that's where we all stand. Dan, Kyle, 2 weeks ago, the thought of the Lakers missing the play-in tournament, I'd probably have you leave if you would have said that they were going to miss it. But now, here we are. Do you still feel comfortable, Kyle, that they're in that play-in tournament?
I don't.
Yeah.
And the answer is simply show me the wins.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the time. I mean, it's money time right now, right? I mean, they got to win right now. They got to start winning games right now. And there has been all the urgency in the world since All-Star break to do it, and they're not doing it. And furthermore, it's not that they're just not doing it, they're not even putting forth the effort needed. I mean, a 21-point loss to your rivals who you've lost to by 3, 2, 1 points in the first 3 games, it just shows they're sinking. And it's not just their level of play, it's also their morale. And they have stopped believing with their play. I know they're still saying they're believing, but they've shown us they've stopped believing with how they play.
I mean, I think, Kyle, you're right. Morale is the interesting word. And I think one of the things that I've been interested in kind of trying to, you said it's going to be like therapy today.
Yeah.
As I've tried to like sort of psychoanalyze what's going on with this Lakers team, they've talked championship far longer than probably they should have based on their performance, right? Like they talked about when we get to this point, when to get healthy, we'll be able to compete for a championship. And maybe that focus should have been more on tiny details, more granular, more like, how do we get 10% better on offense? How do we get 5% better on defense? How do we make these tiny little adjustments? Let's deal with that stuff first, and then we can start building, And I haven't seen signs of minor steps of progress. And if there are ones, it's usually followed by something going wrong on a different side of the ball.
2 steps forward, 4 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps back.
And that's been the theme all year long. Okay, I do want to focus on the Clippers game on Thursday night. You both were there. The Clippers, a season sweep, 4-0, just better really than the Lakers in every facet of the game in these 4 times that they played. Down the stretch, bigger runs, better defensively, sharing the basketball, all that stuff. What are your takeaways, Dan, from that game?
They're a more equipped roster to handle problems than the Lakers. They have better depth. They have more players that don't fit into that either we pay you all the money or we pay you none of the money. They have a better middle class on their roster, and so you see guys like Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris.
Yep.
These are guys over these games Zubats who have hurt them. And I mean, the players that the Lakers have literally in that category in between, you have Talen Horton-Tucker, who didn't play last night and has been up and down all year, and Kendrick Nunn, who hasn't played a second yet this season.
Yeah.
That middle class of the roster, to me, is the biggest difference between those 2 teams.
Yeah. Do you know what KYP means, Gator?
I do.
Know your personnel.
Know your personnel.
Why is Luke Kennard getting open all the time? Why is Reggie Jackson getting an open 3 all the time?
Well, someone's always open.
But the point being, they've played Isaiah Hartenstein, their backup center, 4 times now, and they haven't stopped him on pick and roll. He was 5 for 5 at one point when the game still mattered at all. I mean, Ivica Zubats was killing them inside, hadn't stopped the pick and roll. They played these guys 4 times, including 1 time in the previous week. Why don't they seem to know what the Clippers are going to try to do and not be able to address any of those at all?
Yeah, you guys bring up great points. I want to move to what they're going to do the rest of the year because it doesn't get any easier. The Lakers have the 2nd toughest schedule in the league, okay? Blazers have the easiest. Pelicans right there in the middle at 16th. And then the Spurs, 21st overall. What mindset, Kyle, do the Lakers need to have going into these final 20 games? Because if you look at their schedule and the difficulty that it can bring, it can cause a little panic.
Yeah, and I think what they haven't had enough of all year and they need is tonight is a fight for our lives. And I think that starting out from the preseason, we heard they went 0-6 in the preseason. We heard, well, it's just preseason, doesn't matter. They went, they were struggling throughout the easy section, the first 15 games. I think they were only 8-7 in a very easy slate in the first week in time. Long view. The long view is over. The fight is now. The fight is, tomorrow. The fight is on Monday in San Antonio. They got to win that game. They got to win as many games of their schedule to even stay in this play-in. They're only 1 game ahead of these teams. So the fight is now, and it's urgent.
I mean, I just think that they just need to view each of these games as not some giant referendum on their season, that they can't solve the problems of the season on a one night. To Kyle's point, like all you can do is play the team that's in front of you for 48 minutes, and you just have to execute, right? And you have to do the things that you can control in that game. You can't fix flaws in the roster. You can't fix flaws in fit, dissatisfaction with roles and all of that stuff. You're not going to fix all of that in one night. Just go play. and play loosely, play freely, and play with a little bit of a toughness and a urgency is a really good word for it too. But I think it's even like they also have to play with like a flexibility that if things do go a little wrong at a time during the game, like cool, like we'll fight through it, we'll work through it. But there's just no evidence, to suggest that they can do this. It'll be a big shift. Look, they played the Warriors well last time. They played them in Golden State. They played well. We'll see.
All right, ESPN stats and info with this tweet on Thursday's loss to the Clippers. It's the 20th time this season the Lakers have trailed by 20 or more points. It's the 14th time the Lakers have trailed by 25 or more points. 7th time the Lakers have trailed by 30 or more points. All three are the most in a season by LeBron James' team in his career.
That's a stat.
So, yeah, and here's another stat. LeBron only 2 seasons, his entire career. Is this year number 19? Mm-hmm. Okay. Where he's finished below 500. That was his first year with the Lakers when he got hurt on Christmas Day and he missed a bunch of those games. And then his rookie year. This will undoubtedly be his third. This is not something he's used to, Kyle. Putting up great numbers, putting up historical numbers for a guy in his 19th year, but not wins.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, if anything, it might be a tribute to how great LeBron has been, right? I mean, how great of a player he is for team winning throughout his career. But the guy's 37. The guy's in year 19. And as good as he's been, he can't paper over everything. I mean, he's a step slower on defense. He can't drive to the rim as much as he would want. He can still do it in key sequences in fourth quarters. We've seen him take over, and it's amazing. But he's just not he's not a team in a bottle anymore. And he once was, and the Lakers just need more from the other guys right now.
I mean, he is probably the best problem solver in the NBA, of the last 20 years, right?
Yes.
Like where
always figured out.
You put something in front of him, you put a teammate, a fit, something like that, he'll make it work. He did it in Cleveland, he did it in Miami, he did it again when he came back to Cleveland and won a title. I think, and I don't want to put this all on Russell Westbrook because it's not specifically that decision, but the inability to kind of figure out a way to win with what the Russell Westbrook trade did to the roster.
Yeah.
I think I see it wearing on LeBron James. I do. I see that this kind of frustration over being asked the same questions, not just by us, but internally. You have to be. That this is a team that thought they could win a title. That's everything they do is to win a title. And very quickly, LeBron James, a much smarter basketball mind than any of us. I think I feel comfortable saying that.
That's a safe bet.
If we don't think they can win a title, what do you think he thinks about the team?
Watch this.
He's told us.
Yeah, I'm going to show you guys this. And you guys both bring up great points. Flea, not one to hide his disappointment. He's the ultimate Laker fan. This is the most disappointing Lakers season in team history. So it's not the worst. That was a 17-win team in Kobe's final season.
Yep.
They've had 21 wins. They've had 27, all within the last 10 years. I know. It's been on this network, and I was there for it. But is it, Dan, the most disappointing when you consider who's on the team and the expectations? The only other one that comes to mind for me was 2012, 2013 because of all the expectations. But that team went on a 28-13 run to finish the year to get to the playoffs?
Yeah, and like those, those teams, obviously, Kyle mentions the preseason. That team also terrible in the preseason, by the way.
0-8.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most disappointing teams, I think, when it comes to expectations that I've covered. They're certainly an exhausting team. I can speak for myself. They are tiring in the sense that it does feel like you're trying to unpack the same questions over and over and over again. And that there's a mental strain that not only happens to players, coaches, people around it. Clearly, if you've lost Flea, this is not good news.
Yeah, and I'm sure the
he's
shame
been all around the world.
I was going to say the shame of the season probably makes him want to hide under a bridge.
I mean, everyone's a little emotional after probably the fourth loss on the road to the Clippers, but the season's not over yet.
Yeah,
there's still soul to squeeze.
You can see the other side.
Do you see it as the most disappointing season that you can remember?
I mean,
you're not an old man.
This has got to be fun year. It sticks out, but they still won 40 games. They still won. That team won 40 games. The Dwight Howard, Steve Nash,
that's what I mean.
Kobe year, and they still went to the playoffs. I mean, they went to. It wasn't much of a trip, but they went to the playoffs.
They got on an airplane.
They got God. This is devolved. But
you did it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to say yes, and obviously there's some room. I mean, Russell Westbrook obviously was very charged and said, "Is the season over yet?" No. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see that fight on the court.
Yeah. All right, guys. Reminder: Saturday. Maybe it happens. Maybe they get back on the winning track. Warriors are struggling as well. Lakers and Dubs, 5:30. Join us for the pregame at 4:30. Switch over to game on ABC, and once it's over, come on back to Spectrum Sportsnet for highlights, analysis, and your post-game reaction. Still to come, the Lakers with one of their worst losses of the season on Thursday.